Rail giant Union Pacific announced earnings today, down year over year, in part because of severe winter weather. Welcome now, Union Pacific's CEO. He's Lance Fritz. So, Mr. Fritz, thank you so much for being back with us here. Give us your sense of that quarter. As I say, you had sort of a hard time with the weather.
Yeah, we had two things that really impacted us during the quarter. The weather got at us, and that was both a margin hit as well as an EPS hit. And then we also saw a fuel surcharge lag effect during the quarter, which was a margin hit. Absent that, our core business was really pretty sound. We saw good volume, good demand, and we managed it very effectively.
Well, you're always a good person to talk to in terms of the overall economy. One of the things we hear is people are having to restock inventories that maybe were depleted as the economy was shut down. Where is that at this point? Have you well up the curve in restocking it, or is there more yet to come?
Yeah, I would not say the restocking's done. I wouldn't say we're well up the curve either. I think at this point, there's still plenty of demand left to fill shelves. And we're also seeing just strong demand. And it's in the automotive industry, although that's being impacted by the chip shortage, but that'll take care of itself over time. We're seeing strong demand in housing, in construction, in goods, just domestic and international intermodal. I think plastics, as they recover from the winter weather, is going to continue to show well. So yeah, we're seeing good demand kind of across the board. Grain particularly strong.
I'm glad you raised autos, because we've talked to people, including Marabara, who was saying we're going to have real problems with the chips, and they've had to shut down some production at some of the major auto producers. How much is it hurting the auto shipments right now? And do you have any sense of the arc of that, when you think it'll be back up?
Yeah, it's hurting both the finished vehicles that we ship to distribution, as well as the inbound auto parts when a plant shuts down. And it was quite real in the first quarter, enough to call it out. We're still seeing impacts into the second quarter. It sure looks like by the end of the second quarter, it'll become, an impact, but more like a blip, one that we manage routinely.
We also hear a fair amount about port congestion. We see those photos, actually, of those big ships out moored and can't get through the ports. Is that affecting your business?
The international intermodal supply chain is pretty broad. And the congestion that's been occurring at the ports for, call it, the fourth quarter and first quarter definitely impact us to a degree. There are a lot of participants in that supply chain. The Trans-Pacific shippers, there's the dray, the truck drivers that take boxes off the ramp, sometimes get it to us or drive it inland. There's the warehouses that accept the product. We're right in the middle of that. And we've actually recently increased our capacity to take boxes off the port docks and inland by about 25%. And we're also working hard with the participants in the supply chain to create transparency and visibility, along with the right and appropriate KPIs and metrics, so that we can manage the total supply chain better.
Are you hiring people? Do you need more workers? And are you having any difficulty finding them?
Yeah, I would say kind of as an asterisk, in very specific areas at pretty small quantity, we are hiring people. Largely, I think our workforce is remaining about stable, and we're really not having that much trouble. Maybe there's a couple of areas where we're running into a little bit of difficulty finding employees. But David, we pay a great wage. We're like 93rd, 94th percentile in wages. Our median employee wage is about $80,000 or $82,000 a year.
There's some changes going on in your business right now. There's some consolidation, particularly coming from north of the border. Is that going to affect your business? Does that pose a threat or an opportunity for you?
Yeah, we really look at those proposed transactions, whether it's the CP or the CN buying KCS, through our customers' eyes. And the concern we have is that our customers right now enjoy Union Pacific's best in industry franchise, and getting their product through us into Mexico or from Mexico back onto us for distribution. It's a great option for them. And in the future, if a transaction for the CP or CN owning the KCS fundamentally change that, either operationally or commercially, that's not good for our customers. So we are keeping a close eye on that, and we'll be deeply involved in the process.
As the regulatory authorities take a look at it, are you taking a position as Union Pacific one way or the other?
We're taking one very clear position right out of the chute, and that is the original proposal from the CP urged the STB, the Surface Transportation Board, to apply a waiver that was designed 20 years ago for the KCS to not go through the full, fair, and balanced evaluation that all other class ones would have to go through. We think the landscape has changed so fundamentally, and you just look at the size of the deal. We think the STB should apply the existing merger rules to all class one mergers, inclusive of the KCS. So we're a strong advocate for that. As regards to the rest of the transaction, we got to wait to see what applications the acquirers put in before we can really react.
And finally, Lance, we're all mindful of the fact that there is a 2-day summit on climate that has been started by President Biden. It's going on right now. We've talked in the past about the role of the rail system when it comes to climate, and you call it, I think, carbon intensity is the expression you use. Give us a sense, are you gaining market share over against things like trucking, because of that issue?
We actually are. I can see it in a number of different ways. I got across the spectrum 2 good examples. We just recently won some crushed glass. It's called cullet business because we can ship that product with lower carbon intensity than truck, and that feeds into the circular economy story for that crushed glass provider. And then we've also recently won some business with an electric vehicle manufacturer, in part because we can help them achieve their carbon goals by replacing truck with rail.